Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to begin the meeting. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Town of Rocky Mountain House regular council meeting for August 16th, 2022. It's 1 p.m. So I'd like to call the meeting to order. And moving forward in the agenda, 2.1 to adopt the agenda for August of 16th of 2022 regular council meeting. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda presented in front of us? Seeing none, I'd like to call for a motion to accept the agenda. It was a tie. Councillor Caprero.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you very much. All in favor? And that's carried. So seeing as we have no delegations today, I'm moving on in the agenda to 4.1 to adopt the regular council meeting minutes of August 2nd of 2022. Are there any changes, omissions, deletions to that agenda? I'm always looking at Tina because she finds the most interesting things. So seeing none, could we have a motion? Councillor Hutchinson.
I'll make the motion to adopt the regular council meeting minutes of August 2nd, 2022.
And all in favor of the motion? And that's carried. So we have no delegation business today. So moving on to old business, 6.1, the RFD for downtown parking.
Thank you, Your Worship. So in the previous council meeting, council asked administration to continue discussions with Bauer in regards to the parking lot that the town has utilized since 2005 for tourism, for RV parking adjacent to Main Street. And plus it's also used heavily for Market on Main for patrons to access that event. Mr. Swader did continue the discussions and it did change. It did come back as $3,000 per year is what is being asked for now. And that would be, excuse me, locked into a 5-year contract. So we are asking council's consideration to renew this agreement.
Just on 2.1, the word says $4,000 and then has $3,000 in brackets.
Yes,
Okay.
administration has noticed that technical error in
Okay.
the agreements and it would be amended before we sign it.
Okay, thank you very much. So would we like to have some discussion about the Bowers agreement for the parking lot? Councillor Fraser, did you have something or not have something? I'm not sure if you're.
I'm glad to see it's come down. I don't love the 5-year lock-in, and it is awfully expensive for a parking lot, but it is nice for the Market on Main season and for people to be able to park on the right side of the highway there. So it's nice to see that there's been some movement, but I'm okay with either option. I'm curious to see what anyone else has thoughts.
Councillor Alt.
I'm of the same opinion. I'm not pleased with a $3,000 price tag for the 5 years. I'd just really be interested to know how much that parking lot gets used other than Market on Main for one night a week. And if there is a significant benefit for mobility impaired people. I don't know if it's being that extra block closer is worth that kind of money for one night a week for 2 months of the year.
So seeing there's no other discussion, I also agree that, you know, there's a lot of other places that we can park. There's lots of space on side streets that maybe don't have businesses open. There's the Legion parking lot. Like, I mean, there's lots of other areas. And I certainly think that it's a high cost for our community when we could encourage people to walk or ride their bike or whatever we need to have them do. So I feel comfortable with alternative 2, that we change the signs. Did we want to have any further discussion? Counselor Fraser?
I guess my only other thought would be if we wanted to have a dedicated parking lot, still that we put out perhaps a request for proposal so that all businesses could perhaps put forward their locations or their thoughts if there were other options. I feel that, we're only entertaining one option right now. I guess two options right now. But I still think the rec center is a good option. So
Counselor Phillips?
Looking at alternatives, I mean, I think the alternatives all go back onto privately owned land, which I think we would end up finding ourselves back into the same lease agreement situation with any private owner. I think the only one that wouldn't require a private ownership lease agreement would be the Rocky Regional Center, because that's something that we own and then we can control that.
Counselor Hutchinson?
I agree with what Counselor Phillips said, but I do kind of question if parking at the rec center, I mean, we've got a very long Main Street. And for people to be walking from the rec center another block and a half to actually get to Main Street would deter people from parking and visiting.
I will do Counselor Phillips next. I had an idea as well when we talk about handicap. There's really about maybe 6 handicap stalls in that area. And it could be accommodated by putting handicap stall parking right at the intersections, perhaps, like, or extending it for that night for a couple spaces just temporarily for that evening. That would benefit, people with mobility issues and things like that. And so that, even if we had like signs in a bucket, that we could add extra handicap stall parking.
Is that Market on Main you're referring to?
Yeah,
Okay,
because
sorry.
I think that's like the concern mostly because other than that, there's quite a bit of parking generally throughout the rest of the year. But, that would be an idea. If that would be our main concern, we could always do something temporarily like that would assist mobility customers. Counselor Phillips?
Yeah, I actually agree with that. At the top of Main Street, we have our peace officer vehicles there, and there could be a way of, getting a dozen, what do we call them, handicap mobility parking spots or elderly. I don't know, because we will have the same problem with some of the elderly people that walking that extra block, maybe it's just a little bit too much for someone, someone that has mobility issues. So that may be a good alternative.
Okay. Counselor Boniface?
If we go that route, and I agree that that's the way we should be going, just utilize what we already have instead of paying for more. Will they put up signs that there's no parking unless you're shopping there? Cause people will still park there, like that's what's going to happen. And with the Rocky Mountain mud there and everything, it's kind of conducive for people to go in there and park. You quite often see people park there, enjoying a cup of coffee, visiting with each other and that,
So like, I could respond to that, because as a business owner that has a large parking lot, I'm always encouraged to see customers parking in our parking lot, and the off chance that it would bring business into my business. It's an advantage for us. I never refuse an organization that wants to, like, if there's lots of people going to the theater, sometimes they go there on the off day that it would be closed. I certainly think it would be an opportunity that the business could take advantage of, because people are already parked in there, whether they did like a little booth out front or something creative. They also have the right to hang signs up in their parking lot and ask people not to park there unless they are patrons. So, I mean, just the same as any other, all the businesses on Main Street are actually losing their customer parking on that night. So, and I think still they see the benefit of Market on Main. Is there any more discussion on that item? So do we feel like we have a consensus with this topic item? Would someone like to make a motion? Counselor Phillips?
I'd like to make a motion that council directs administration to change over the existing signs with visitor and RV parking to be directed to the Rocky Regional Recreation Center at a cost of $450, with the funds being allocated from the engineering and operations budget. And also to look at bringing some form of mobility issue parking at the top of Main Street for the Market on Main events.
Thank you very much. So I'll call that to a vote now. All in favor of the vote of the motion? And that's carried. Thank you very much. Moving forward in the agenda, we are now at 6.2, an RFD for the Aquatic Center HVAC project. And I see we have Wes Arment to present. Thank you very much, Wes.
Good afternoon, your worship and council. So I think this is the third time I'm back before council related to the HVAC project. We started out with the project as part of our budget for 2022 projects. Without the grant, we were unable to get any proposals. We came back to council on June 21st, asking for a change of scope to do just the detailed engineering at a cost of $20,000. We put that out to RFPs. We received 4 submissions. All 4 were above that 20,000 mark. Some of them actually looking for design as well as project management, which wasn't part of the scope. So I'm back for you today, just ask for a small increase in the budget to $26,000, which would allow us to award the project to our lowest bidder, which would happen to be the same company that's been doing the work with us since the get-go. So and the funds will basically come back out of that original budget for the project. And then we would be able to carry on, get this project awarded, have the detailed design work and completed prior to budget discussions this fall. And then we can look at where we go for 2023's budget and hopefully get the project completed in its entirety in 2023.
I see we have a question from Counselor Hutchinson.
If we approve this and the work to be done, will there be a closure to the pool or will it be done during?
The plan during this feasibility study or the design work wouldn't involve a closure. The closure would happen when the HVAC system actually gets replaced, which would quite likely we would shoot for September of 2023, which is the same time as our annual maintenance shutdown.
I see a question from Counselor Boniface.
Are you satisfied with this engineering company and the way they've been doing the project so far with you, or?
Yes, we've got a good working relationship with the head engineer that's working on the project.
I don't see any further questions. Just for my own benefit, that's the big square things upstairs that do.
Yes,
the-
in the mechanical room, it would be replacing all of the HVAC units in there and changing over that whole system to a more modern and a more energy efficient system altogether. So the project give us our Class D design and costing ready to tender for next year.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Did we want to have any further discussion? Counselor Fraser?
If we're done with discussion, I will move that council approve the change of budget for the Aquatic Center HVAC upgrade project and allocate $26,000 for detailed engineering and design to be completed in 2022.
Thank you very much, Counselor Fraser. And is there any discussion about the motion on hand? Seeing none, I'll call that to a vote. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So moving forward in the agenda, we have new business 7.1. There's an RFD for Fortis franchise agreement. Mr. Kraus.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. My computer was just loading the document, so I apologize for the.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure you have your computer and not mine? Because
Yeah.
mine loves to do that right during a council meeting.
So, Your Worship, so the town is in a franchise agreement with Fortis for the supply and delivery of electricity within the community. It's reaching its 10-year term. And in the agreement, there's two renewal clauses for 5 years each. And Fortis was for council just about a month ago to talk about the franchise agreement. So we are looking for council's direction to initiate that renewal of that agreement for another 5 years.
Thank you very much. Counselor Boniface.
Was at one time. I had heard that Blue Mountain was interested in the franchising. Is that still on the table or not anymore?
So Your Worship, that's Blue Mountain met with me approximately 3 years ago with some interest on it, but they have not come forward to administration since then. I think the mayor's had a meeting with Blue Mountain.
Yeah, so my recommendation, because my meeting was quite a while ago, was to talk and sit down with the CAO and administration and present to them. There are some, like, I don't want to speak for them, but that was my recommendation, is when they had everything ready, that, you know, obviously, every person would be interested in, you know, a competitive market and what's better for our community. But if they haven't taken the direction to speak to Mr. Kraus yet, then I certainly think that they're either not ready yet or it's not quite feasible. With that being said, can I ask a question? Are we able to negotiate a better rate with Fortis on behalf of the citizens of Rocky Mountain House? Like,
No, not under the franchise agreement. I mean, their electricity rates are all set by AUC. And just to answer maybe a little bit more on Councillor Boniface's question, that it's not so easy of putting it out to open market. Under the franchise agreement, I mean, all of the infrastructure is owned by Fortis. Under the agreement, we have basically a first right of refusal if we don't renew the franchise agreement to purchase the electrical system, which is millions of dollars. So then that would be basically with the intent of running our own utility. So it's not as simple as just putting it out there for tender.
Yeah.
Makes total sense now.
And-
Thank you very much.
and the legal idea behind it is only the town can purchase the distribution of the town, but then we could sell it to another competitor, just like Fortis owns it. But I don't think the legislation is quite where it needs to be yet, or they may have brought that forward. It just that's why I know that they're talking a lot in the county of switching customers, but it's totally different yeah. So when we do our franchise agreement, is that the time that we negotiate, or we would set our franchise fees that we pay to the customers?
So Your Worship, no. The franchise agreement is just specific to giving them the right to have the utility in town. They come to us in September of every year for review of the franchise fees or franchise fees. And that council will consider at that time prior to going into budget. So that'll come to council probably late September.
Thank you very much. Do we have any further questions about the 7.1 franchise agreement? Would anyone like to make a motion to move forward? Councillor All.
I'll make the motion that council approve the first subsequent term renewal for 5 years of the electric distribution system franchise agreement dated July 1st, 2013 with Fortis Alberta.
Thank you very much. Do we have any discussion about the motion? Seeing none, I'm going to call that motion to a vote. All in favor of the motion? And that's carried. Thank you very much. So moving forward in the agenda, we have correspondence for action of 8.1. A letter from a town resident. Moving forward in the agenda. We're going to 8.2. And that is a letter, sorry, excuse me, from Alberta municipalities regarding Ukrainian Independence Day and Alberta Ukrainian Canadian Heritage Day. Did we want to have any discussion on that letter? Do we have, oh, sorry, Counselor Fraser.
I have a feeling I'm gonna ask the same thing. I know that we lit up for various items. I think the rec center and town hall for the paint the town red event. And I was going to ask admin if we have, whether they're LED lights so that there are colors that we could do that, or if we do not have the capability.
So your worship, to Councillor Fraser, I think administration would rather change out the flags for these
Yeah,
2 days
that makes
versus doing the lights, because that's always seemed to be a bit of a challenge for us, so.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And so on the August 24th and on September 7th, we'll change out the Canada, the flag, or we're going to change out, yes, the Rocky Mountain House flag and rearrange the flag poles so that the Canada flag always flies higher in appearance to all the other flags. And do we have any knowledge of any other activities that are happening in the community on those days that have been organized by anyone yet? Because I haven't heard anything.
Administration is not aware of any activity.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much. I would like to suggest that we could take perhaps a photo together wearing the Ukrainian colors. We did that at the AM or the RMA, which one of the two. And I thought that showed nice support. Could we organize that for before one of the next council meetings, or I don't know which one would fall closest. It's just come a little early that day. I'll let Tracy, can I do that as an administrative inquiry, or should that be part of this discussion, Mr. Kraus?
No, so your worship, I think what we're looking for is a resolution of the letter for us to fly the Ukrainian flag on the 2 specific dates. Then perhaps just add that council come to the town hall on one of those dates for a photo, if that's what council wishes.
Okay, thank you very much. Would anybody like to make that motion? Counselor Fraser.
I so move.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion? And thank you very much. So I'm going to call that to a vote. All in favor? And that was carried. Well, that was a fast one. I had to look really fast to catch all those. Easy one. Okay, so moving forward in the agenda for 8.3, the town of Penhold regarding a fall festival parade. I just don't have my date up here yet. So this comes from Mike Yargu, who's one of our FCM representatives, Mayor Mike Yargu. And we would have to reply by August 26th, but the event is on September 10th of 2022. Do we have anybody that's interested in attending on behalf of the town of Rocky Mountain House for September 10th of 2022? Yeah, we have a very, very busy schedule that month. So would anybody be opposed if I make a motion to accept for information only the town of Penhold letter for the fall festival parade 8.3? So I'll make that motion. Any discussion? And so I'll call that to a vote. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. So we're going to 9.1, correspondence for information. Is there, sorry, that was really loud. Was there any items that council would like to discuss from, yes, Counselor Phillips.
Just that on item 9.7, the town of Penhold is seconding our resolution for the cannabis revenue sharing resolution at AM.
Yeah, I can add on to that.
Okay,
If
thank
you so wish, your worship. So they have, and we have submitted to Alberta municipalities and they rejected it as being too late.
Oh,
So
That is unfortunate. I guess next, that'll be a year from now.
is there not a spring one that we can present that at?
Alberta municipalities is just in the fall of every year.
Could it be presented at the leadership, AM leadership one?
Yes,
Okay, so that is in March or something, is it? I don't know the,
March.
yeah. So that's great. We're
Yeah.
prepared for that then. Counselor Fraser?
My only thought is sometimes they allow emergency ones if, and because it's under financial.
Um,
Wouldn't count.
they said, does it meet the qualifications for an emergent resolution?
Loopholes.
Okay, well, we're very prepared for the next time we're able to present that. And we could probably forward that to the leadership for the spring at any time. Was there
Just-
Counselor Phillips?
Just a question, on that. Would we need to resubmit to have a seconder for that, or would this still apply for another resolution? Probably a good question.
So Mayor to Councillor Phillips, as an alternative, Rocky Mountain House may want to bring this issue forward as a request for decision at our 2023 Municipal Leader Caucus next March.
Excellent. Is there any other items? Or are we ready that we want to discuss for correspondence for information? 9.1 to 9.7. Counselor Fraser, did you have discussion?
Did we want to do a motion to send it to the leadership caucus? Do we need a motion for that? Or is that just administrative? Wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the clarification. So if there's no further discussion on the 9.1 to 9.7, could I have a motion to accept for information those items? Counselor Phillips.
I'll make a motion to accept items 9.1 through 9.7 as information.
Thank you very much. All in favor of the motion on the table? And that's carried. So moving forward in the agenda for 10 administrative reports, we turn to 10.1, the CAO report, and I turn over to Mr. Kraus.
Yeah, thank you, your worship. So just highlights from the CAO Ledge and Airport Department. So myself, some of the highlights, I met with the Clearwater County CAO, and basically the purpose of the meeting was to discuss the recreation agreement. There's some ambiguity there on the spray park in North Saskatchewan River Park. We discussed that, and I believe he's going to take it up to Clearwater County Council for their input and clarification on that. We met with Laybon Homes on the Creekside development. That was mostly primary to discuss drainage, as we're having drainage issues on 54th and looking at a revised plan to drain that back to Trappers Creek. Met with Mr. Bigchild to discuss some upcoming events. So community showcase, he's still planning mid-September. But we haven't started formalizing any plans for that. It looks like it's going to be a 2-day event versus the 1-day event as previous years. And plus just perhaps some event on September 30th. Met with minor football regarding the, I believe all councillors received a letter from Mr. Lotz on the CCAN there. So we met with him to discuss various locations for CCAN in that area. We came up with 3, and the town did forward that over to Wild Rose School Division because that's their land. They approved 1 location out of the 3 proposed. So now it's really between minor football and Wild Rose to work out an agreement to have it on that land, plus work out permits with our department. In lead services, happy to say we got 0 active white files. Thank you, Ms. Breeze, for working your way through that. Of course, in the big work now is to put together the service level items and binders that's upcoming and make those arrangements for there. So just to let council know, it appears Drumheller will be the location just because Coaldale didn't have the facilities or availability on that.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Coaldale did not have the facilities to accommodate us, so or the availability. So we went to council's second option and are now working with Drumheller.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, you just would have to stay at Pincher Creek, right? Is that the right area, Coaldale? Oh, Lethbridge. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, I was thinking on the pass.
And communications, probably the two major ones is the survey for our website is closed. And we are making adjustments based on the results of that survey. And Miss Button, when she returns from vacation, she'll probably provide you with a report on what those survey results were, but mostly I think it's better search function was probably the highest. And I think tomorrow, the pre-budget engagement survey kicks off. So we'll be gathering input from the public on their suggestions on the 2023 budget. And we'll have that as a report going to council for service level review. For the airports, it's been busy out there with the fires, of course, a lot of bomber activity and so forth. Minor repairs to the terminal building to stop the roof leaking, and which appears to have been successful. And our airport manager is keeping stats on movements, which is on the last page of the report. It is interesting, actually 50% of all the air traffic movements at our airport are actually flying schools that bring their students here to practice landing and taking off again. So that is something to keep in mind as we move forward with airport operations. So, council has any questions?
I had a question about, we were canceled a meeting about highways. And I know that there was 2 meetings that they had about highways, but that didn't address any of our issues that some of the council members attended. Have we heard back from the the new Minister of Transportation?
No, we have not. We can do a follow-up though. I mean, our last correspondence with them was that they were going to contact us with available dates, and they haven't done that yet, but we can follow up.
Is there a way, like, we've got the AM coming up? They're not asking for any meetings yet, right? Like,
Yes, they are, your worship.
are we on that already?
Yes, yeah, we sent
Okay.
that out to council to, there's an email I sent to council asking if I can just go ahead and book this meeting.
Okay,
So yes, we are meeting with them, Alberta municipalities. We're just waiting for confirmation of date and time.
okay. And so do I need to make an administrative inquiry about that letter, or this conversation is good enough?
No, no, administration will just follow up. with
Okay.
Alberta Transportation.
Thank you very much. Did anyone else have any questions or follow-ups for Mr. Kraus? Okay, so I'm looking for a motion to accept the CO report for information. Counselor Ald.
I'll make that motion.
And so any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call that to a vote. All in favor of the motion at hand. And that's carried. So 10.2 department reports, August 6th. Oh, sorry. And so corporate services.
Good afternoon, your worship and council. You have my report in front of you. I don't know if there's any questions. Basically wrapping up last year and ramping up for next year, so.
I see no questions at hand. Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for your report. So now we're moving to engineering and operations.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And Ms. Quinlan, you've all seen my report. Do you have any questions in regards to my report?
It worked really good for her, right?
won't be so quick for me. Just an update on our capital projects. We have completed walkthroughs on the 54th Street and 62nd Street projects and minor deficiencies on both of them, so they'll be taken care of right away. The other big thing we have right now is 60th Street is being paved. They milled it yesterday, finished this morning. They'll be tack coating it today, and over the next 2 days, they'll be paving. So in and out, it'll be nice up there. So
I had a question on that. So is that whole road closed all the way from like what I call Highway 11? There was some lights and stuff and I went a different way.
yeah, no, it's not closed at any one time. The contractor did put up road close signs for the intersection.
Okay,
Confusion there. A lot of people thought it was, but it's not.
yeah,
Intended to be closed. They're always gonna have flag people up there
okay.
to be able to go through, so.
Oh, thank you, because on the website, it's clearly said what was closed and what we're working on, and then flashing lights made me take a different path. So perfect.
Yeah.
And I'm
Apologies
sure I'm
for
not the only one that uses that
Yes.
way home. Thank you.
Your worship, just to not enhance or add on to Mr. Shank's report. Council did receive an email in regards to the status of Riverside Park. So as council remembers, council allocated funds for us to bring it to the next level of design. That work is being done by our engineering firm right now, but they are behind schedule. So Mr. Shanks is on them to do that. When that work is complete, we'll bring that back to council for review, and then council can determine any public engagement exercise that they want to do. So.
And so could administration reply to the email with that update for us?
Yes, I can, if council so wishes.
Yeah, does anyone have thank you.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Where are we at? Because I don't see it on here. The water treatment plant, we discussed some upgrades and some equipment. Remember about the pipe freezing with the whatever. Yeah. That was put in the budget. Whereabouts are we with that? Or it could be wrong. Like, I just wanted to follow up on that to just, it was on my mind.
I think wires got crossed over the last 6-8 months. From what we had planned on doing to where the project actually was going. Those two extremely different things. Our plans are still to follow through with what our original plan was, stick with the smaller budgeted number. I believe it was $35,000 or $40,000 to do pressure washer units. It does the exact same thing to help keep the frazzle ice down. If we upgraded to the boiler systems, which was kind of proposed, yeah, that just adds a whole lot more issues for us.
Okay. And then just where are we at with, did we, there was a backup generator issue. Did that get put, like, I just, those were just,
Yeah, so your worship, that's been requested by council to be reviewed in the 2023 budget.
okay. Thank you very much. I'm glad you can remember everything. Counselor Boniface.
Seems that we have border paving in town, will you be addressing some of the streets that got dug up during the winter for water main breaks and repairing that pavement at the same time they're here?
No, they're two different projects for us, and they have two different groups. For border paving, the contractor that actually does it. This is the actual paving crew. The other one is a patching crew. They've committed over the last month to be here every week, and yeah, well, they're still not here. So yeah, we are working on it. It will be done before the snow flies. Yeah.
Did we have any other questions or comments for Mr. Shanks? Sorry, I had Rob, but I didn't have Shanks. I'm sorry.
Either or.
Thank you very much. So moving on to planning and development. See, we have Renee.
Good afternoon, your worship and council. You've got the report in front of you, so I'll just give you some of the highlights. We continue to be busy with Clean Energy Improvement Program. We have some of the projects that are near completion, if not completed, and we're having to just kind of finalize some of the agreements. We've got a total of 9 kind of that are in the active phase. We anticipate that we'll be submitting our 80%. We have to have 80% down before we can submit to FCM. So working with corporate services on getting that information together so we can collect the next portion of the grant. It's been very active with planning and community development. We've been very busy. We've have 554 active business licenses. Development permits at the time this was done, we're at 69. We've got 63 building permits to date. Realtor requests have been very busy as well, 125, which I think is an indication, like we're starting to see people from out of province coming into town, which is, I think, really great to see some new people coming to town. Our new ortho GIS photos have been completed and will hopefully be uploaded in the next month. And we have a subdivision application that will be going to MPC on September 6th. As far as some of the other things under the building, electrical, gas, and plumbing, we had an audit completed and did very well on it. We are just following up on some of the action items, and we'll be meeting with our contractor, our building contractor, kind of to go through those and to provide some feedback to Safety Codes Council. We've got economic development and tourism has been busy. They're currently reviewing and researching tourism marketing programs. They're meeting with the Rocky Chamber and Clearwater Economic Development Officer to review items currently working on for a Shop Local program. They're executing Market in Maine, which I think they've had quite a bit of success this year. The weather's been really cooperative. Reviewing and preparing information as well for the new business development initiatives to be presented to council. Health and safety, the 2021 core audit is being addressed and implemented. 3 out of 4 staff members have completed their auditor training with AMHSA. And we have a core safety audit that is going to be starting the end of August here. Protective services, they've also been busy, 113 files for the month of July. 31 were provincial files, 4 were assisting fire services, 3 were assisting RCMP, 2 assists for other town departments, 1 arrest. The top 3 violations I thought I'd point out were there were 52 violations for unregistered motor vehicles, 22 violations for distracted driving, and 20 violations for speeding. There was also a number of uninsured vehicles that they caught. So they have provided a graph just for your information. And we've done the same with the building permits. I just wanted to point out under our building permits, we've surpassed the last 3 years, which I think is great. Does council have any questions for me?
Councillor Alt does, and then I have one as well.
Have you had any success with a new application for the peace officer position we're looking for?
Not to my knowledge. Like I think some applications have come in, but I don't think they've done any interviewing. Maybe, yeah.
So I think the position's open this week still, and then interviews are being scheduled for either next week. No, 2 weeks from now.
And just to clarify, that's for an existing position and not.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes.
I
It's
did
not a
have.
new position. Yeah.
I did, okay, you had the same question. I did have a few people ask me that. Oh, because they saw the ad to bring it to my attention and I'm like, I haven't been told anything different. I think it's just
It's to fill up a vacant.
fill a
position.
vacant
That's
position.
right, yeah.
So, yeah, perfect. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
So I'm taking it, Counselor Boniface, that was your identical question. So great minds think alike. Three people with the same thing on their mind. I was just curious, have we seen any development on some of the vacant lands, that we discussed earlier in the spring? Like, we've got lots of movement, but we had the admin team reach out to vacant lands and see if we could do any development. Have you seen any returns?
Like, are you talking commercial or residential?
Both.
Both. So
Yeah.
residential development, we have a couple of new home permits that have come in. So there's one in Old Town, there's a couple of Laybon homes that have applications have come in. We're seeing a few demolition permits as well, with the intention of those being replaced with new dwellings as well.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
That's really
It's
great
been
to
really
see.
busy, and it's some of the applications that have come in. It's I don't know if it was COVID that things kind of slowed down, which we saw maybe more renovations at that time, but there's definitely some new development occurring.
Okay. Is there anything that came to mind with development that could reduce red tape or anything like that you are thinking of to bring to our attention?
Well, I think that would be something that we would have to sit down as a group to discuss and maybe look at. I know that there's been red tape initiatives already put in place. Our turnaround times, I think are very good in comparison to maybe some of the larger municipalities. And we have very limited staff to be able to turn those things around. So, I think that's one area where we've improved. Some other areas is we have done, for example, our brochure on fencing
Oh,
to
great.
try and simplify the process and we've included little maps, like kind of like an overview, where you can have a 6.5 foot fence versus a 3-foot fence. We've redone all of our forms to try and make them, I guess, easier to fill out. I find that our staff is also very good at communicating the opportunity for people to call and to ask questions if they're not sure. And we do have some other brochures on the go. We just haven't had time to get to them this summer because it's the busiest time of year for permits. So
Okay.
yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
I had, it's a policing type issue of, and so I had actually a couple of concerned citizens approach me about a business in town that is like a bar and like safety of especially female citizens and stuff like that. How should that get addressed?
So we became aware of that.
Okay.
So we're on it.
Okay.
Just this morning.
Okay.
So we'll be having a conversation with our CAO and we'll be addressing it through some direction from there.
Okay.
But I also think that if it's, if there are criminal code concerns, those should go to the RCMP.
Yeah. I think it was more like a concern that people felt very uncomfortable and unsafe and had sort of like dodgy situations. And because we have so many new people coming to town and tourists, citizens are concerned about the safety of those people who maybe are not familiar with like I avoid that particular place myself because like I'm familiar with some of the talk around town, but I mean, there's nothing we could, that we're not responsible for a business license or a liquor license that we would, review that.
Well, liquor licensing falls with the AGLC. We do have under our business license bylaw, there's some there are some stipulations in there that does give us some authority. However, because we, you have to be very careful. We have to work within, the regulations that we're authorized to enforce. So, I think that sometimes we always have to be very careful about what we're doing. And so hence the meeting that I'd like to have with Mr. Kraus. So
Okay, excellent. Yeah, 'cause we don't have a policing committee meeting until the end of the month.
Mhm.
And so thank you so much for responding to my
you're very
inquiry
welcome. Yeah.
and knowing what I meant with my vagueness. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
There any other questions for planning and community development? Thank you very much
You're
for your
welcome.
time. So recreation and community services.
Good afternoon again. Yeah, my report's fairly lengthy, so I'm gonna try to hit just some of the highlights. I know that corporate services one page, mine's 8 pages long, but I'll try to touch base. So at my office, doing a lot of just update on capital project management. We're coming along really well with our projects. The one that just got completed was the bunch heater tubes were installed and completed just in time for the ice to go in. The ice went in. I know our arena manager had lots of challenges with the heat and humidity and putting the ice in this year. And even though our new plant is keeping up and managing well, but it was a little bit of a challenge installing the ice. So the ice is in at the Bunch Arena. The junior hockey camps are going and the place is busy. We do have the Foothill Society has scheduled for September 9th to 11th, the powwow, which will take place in the Quick Lane Arena. And then when that event is done, we'll be putting the ice in the Quick Lane for the end of September. And I know some of our ice user groups are already in there. I know the over 30s and stuff are taking advantage of the ice that's there, and most of the others will get on, start beginning of October. FCSS remains busy. I know both Andrea and Rebecca are busy dealing with the challenges of the community. Certainly coming post-COVID, still many challenges and requests for support. They're planning some upcoming summer events. Every Tuesday night, they're coordinating with the skate park group, and they do their skate teach and learn at the skate park on Tuesday nights. The Guys and Girls Unleashed event is coming again this year, August 23rd and the 25th. So looking forward to those events. Guest services and programming. Our summer day camps are going great this year. They're full. Many of the days they're turning people away because they've got more registrations than they can manage with the staff that we have. So that's great to see. The July bookings, the Trappers Association, Alberta Wrestling Camp, the Alberta Volleyball Camp, all went very well. All are looking at coming back next year. Actually, I think volleyball is looking at expanding to 2 weeks, potentially next year. So that just speaks well to the experience that these provincial groups, we have provincial cross country running is hosting a camp in September, and we'll have athletes staying at the Lusabit Center for an extended 3-day camp as well. So I think the word has gotten out that Rocky is able and willing to host these types of events, and so that's great to see. Just the one note, you probably be aware that the Chamber of Commerce trade show, the date was changed to May of 2023. Maintenance department, Ford and Vern are just busy keeping our facilities up and running and trying to fix leaks and roofs and those types of things, and working with contractors to get that work done. And from the pool perspective, summer swim programs, again, are going really well. Our admissions, general use of the pool is up. Just to note that the pool will be closed for 3 weeks for our annual fall maintenance from August 29th to September the 20th. Unless you have any other questions for me.
I had a question. I'm just curious if they tell you the stats on our walk and roll contest. If they give you any feedback on how we're doing as a community, so we can put our last push in.
We need a big push.
We need a big
Yeah,
push.
We're trailing significant.
Okay, yeah, because I've been clicking my thing every time
Yes,
I.
yeah, I've checked that this week and I know that we're doing the promotion through our social media and stuff. We haven't done near as well as we did last year in our first year. I'll just
Okay,
put it that way. So it may be something that we reevaluate for next year. There may be other programs. I know the participation had a similar type of a program. So, but we'll push right through the end and hope that people will make the decision to walk or ride to destination as opposed to using their motorized vehicles.
I found where I can lock my bike now when I come to council meetings or to the town office.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited about that. I had a follow-up question. I don't see anybody else has a question. I was at the community center for a day camp drop off, and it was like a Monday afternoon and then a Friday. No, it was a Monday morning and a Friday afternoon. So twice now. I've so four experiences altogether. Plus I was there once when they had the skateboard competition. And is there anything we can do with speed bumps or something? Because I find the traffic is very busy. They're hauling big machines to get in line for the waste dump. And I mean, it takes a long time for them to slow down, and kids are sort of like running in different directions because they go around different ways around the community center. They don't necessarily like cross right at where you think they should cross. So like between the community center where the spray park and the skate park are, and to the bathrooms that are by the David Thompson canoe display, is there, would that be something that would be a rec thing, or would it be? Yeah, because it's affecting like the rec usage, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't have bathrooms on that side, but kids are like, even when they come off the bike path to go up to the skateboard park, it's a little tricky to get from it unless you go through where the parking lot at the community center is. And so it made me, they almost ran me over, and I'm a big target with, I was carrying bags, and I was just like, I told the guy to I just went like this, like, please slow down. But they're hauling big machines, and it's, you know, is there something we can do to slow down traffic or
There
make
might-
it safer?
Might be a discussion with operations with signage. I don't know if speed bumps is something that we typically have installed, but might be something we can discuss from an operations side of things and see how we might manage that.
Yeah.
Unless
It-
Mr. Kraus has some other ideas.
Yeah, we can review that with Mr. Shanks and go through their speed bumps. It's
Yeah.
not a preferred choice.
Right, because it's trailers and they're, yeah.
Yeah, and then plus it's also winter snow removal, maintenance and stuff like that.
I'm
So-
wondering if it could be something that's temporary for when we have the high trailer traffic.
And
that-
we'd have to obtain costs on that you're talking. for,
Yeah.
Like the asphalt speed bumps that are
Yeah.
nailed down into the pavement and so forth.
I know yes. So thank you for taking that into consideration. I appreciate that.
It is, I guess, it's nice to see that everything is so busy.
It is really great to see that for sure. Absolutely, for sure.
I could guess one other thing, I guess, when we talk about, we are looking at the overall water consumption for the spray park. You know, some concerns from operations and the treatment of water and the amount of water that gets utilized there. So we're looking at that as, how can we, is there options for curtailing some of that water usage?
Yeah, so administration is meeting this Friday on that, but just to let council know, on a hot summer day, a quarter of our production of the water treatment plant is going through the spray park. So
And it's not
no, it's a flow through system. So
recycled.
we're looking at options for reducing that consumption, either through less pressure, different nozzles, less time. Or something.
Thank you very much. Did anybody else? I saw no other questions. So thank you very much. So that concludes 10.2 department reports. Would someone like to make a motion to accept for information? Counselor Alt,
Make the motion, council accepts 10.2 for information.
thank you very much. All in favor? And that's carried. So moving forward in the agenda, 11.1 to the action list for August 16th. I turn that over to Mr. Kraus.
Yeah, I can go through it quickly, your worship, unless council has any specific questions, but service level review, we're working on that. And as I mentioned, Drumheller will be the location. The request for a policy on parades, that has been added to the service level agenda. We think we've almost finalized the agenda, which we can send out just for council input in case we missed anything. In regards to waste for nonprofit groups, engineering and operations are polling other municipalities on that as we speak. We should have that report coming back to council in the near future.
I did see that there was a user group in Sundry that posted, please don't drop off your garbage at our service, like at our community group. Like, so I'm sure they're having an issue as well. If they're not already on your list, they could be.
And I noticed the user or the group that came before council has in last week's paper is actually looking for donations, cash donations to cover waste going to the eco center also. So they're looking at other avenues too, it looks like. Curtis Field Light Project, we have the draft agreements out to both the football and the school. And Mr. Ament is working with them on that. I think that we should just take off some of these cross things because it's getting long. Tanis-Gerke recognition, I think that is in progress, if I'm correct.
I'm waiting for them.
And then the last two are just future agreements with Clearwater County discussions. So.
Did anyone have any questions for Mr. Kraus about the action list? Seeing none. I guess Counselor Fraser.
I will move that we accept the action list as presented.
Thank you very much. All in favor? And that's carried. Moving forward in the agenda, do we have any administrative inquiries today? It looks like we can't cover that. Do we have any notices of motion today? So I'm going to take this opportunity to have a 10-minute recess before we go into the next item on the agenda. very much. We're back in regular session again for and so before we adjourn, we have is there someone who'd like to make a motion? Counselor Alt,
I'll make a motion that there is a letter drafted to respond to the concerned citizen within the next week. If that suffices.
sounds great. Any further discussion needed? Seeing none, I'll call that motion to a vote. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. And that concludes the business of today. So I'm going to say that the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.